welcome to Your Health Matters with Dr. Benjamin Bryant, Chief of Staff and Chief General Surgeon for UH Conneaut Medical Center. I noticed we got Denise back today.
We're always happy to have Denise.
Oh, yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, this is part of the series that we started on the last program that relates to UH Conneaut's Hospital to Home program. It's a program that Denise will explain, but it has to do with making sure that anyone who is discharged from this hospital when they go home gets very individualized follow-up care from the hospital to make sure that they have everything they need along a lot of different dimensions. And as part of that, there are different organizations that we sort of partner with. In other words, places where our patients go, they may not go to right straight back home. They may go to a care facility for a little while. And that's what this morning's program's about. So Denise, why don't you go ahead and introduce our special guest this morning.
Thank you. As Dr. Bryant mentioned, our Hospital to Home program is a transition program from when the patient's discharged from the hospital to the home, and then myself and my partner, Lori Kingston, provide hospital to home visits in which we go into the home for 30 to 45 days and care for the patient as far as educational needs, assessments, things like that, so that the individual and their family are better equipped to know what's going on with their health, what signs and symptoms to watch for, and how to monitor their health. These visits are completely free. It's a free program. And during these visits, we find not only can we help them education-wise and assessment-wise with their health care, but also there's a lot of other issues sometimes that may be affecting their health in regards to, do they need help in the home as far as like housework, transportation needs, maybe some medical equipment, meal assistance, things such as that. And I know I personally, since I've joined the outreach team, have learned so much in regards to resources available out in the community that it's really great to have this opportunity to bring out to the community all these resources that I think a lot of people might not realize are there.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
I'm very happy to have our guest today, Carol Billeter from Madison Senior Center, to kind of share some of the resources that you can provide to the community.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me.
Thank you.
I think that we take pride in our relationship in working with UH and working with Lori and Denise in regards to certainly their education department. We offer many of their educational programs when somebody does come home from the hospital and they need additional information. We have health information lectures that are given at the Senior Center, and many of those, are in regards to either, long-term disease processes, or, our most recent one was how to eat healthy for the holidays, which was very popular. And some of those because, the people that when they're leaving need those low-salt diets, and, so it helps to learn how to do that and do it in a friendly, still fun way.
Now you are at Madison Senior Center.
Yes, I am the director for the Madison Senior Center.
What is the Madison Senior Center and where is it?
Madison Senior Center is located on Hubbard Road in Madison, 2938 Hubbard Road in Madison. It is a facility where patrons come into the facility, and they may just come in there for some socialization on a daily basis. They may come in there just to read the newspaper, have some coffee with their friends, or they may come there once a day because they're having that congregate lunch, and that is their big meal for the day. So then maybe they walk out of there with an extra milk or something to take home, and that's what's in their refrigerator.
That's really, really an excellent program to have. And I would anticipate that there are resources available within the Senior Center that can help connect people to other things that they may need.
There are. Because we sit right on the border of Lake County and Ashtabula County, we work very closely with both counties' Council on Aging departments. So those people that come in there and possibly maybe they need meals at home, they're not fully recovered yet, they can't come up to one of the centers to have lunch. We make sure that they get assistance in getting provided Meals on Wheels at home. Those meals are prepared at a caterer, brought in, and then packaged and sent out. And those people, are able to have those meals as long as they need them, whether it's short-term or long-term.
That's fantastic. That is fantastic.
And we do, and that's both in Ashtabula and Lake County, so we work with both.
Oh, all right.
Other services that may be provided if there are many people out there that may not have, the insurance and maybe not able to afford, certain medical devices, whether it be a walker, a cane, a shower chair. Those are usually one of the big devices that are very expensive for people to try and purchase. And both agencies, again, will make the call to them to see if they have one available. Those devices are, they're brought in from the community, they're donated from the people in the community, they're taken in, they're sterilized, cleaned, sterilized, all the parts are checked, and then they're given to those people to borrow for as long as they need them. And then, they either return them to us and we get them back to the agency so that the process can happen again.
Wow, that's fantastic. So Madison is, it sounds like Madison is really a community where people are altruistic and community-minded, and they really support these kinds of things. Gosh, that's wonderful.
I think we're very, very fortunate. Also, too, we also always make sure that we offer, a flu shot clinic, and that's available to everybody in the community. Whether they're a member of the center or not a member of the center, they can, come in during the season and make sure that they get their flu shot there. Also, too, we have a foot doctor, that comes once every 5 to 6 weeks, so that they have an opportunity, to have their feet checked. Many of the diabetic patients, are really glad that they have that opportunity to be able to do that, and get their feet checked.
That can save, well, we've had Jessica Milliman on our show a couple of times. She's a podiatrist with UH, and through listening to her, we've been educated as to the horrendous foot problems for diabetics that can be avoided if they're seen early and if they're treated appropriately. Because that's the kind of thing, once that cow gets out of the barn, oh boy, it's really, then there's a lot of damage and so on. So knowing that that's available and that these people can be screened and take advantage of that, that's fantastic. That's, so you have people who are members, is that right?
Yes, we do have people that are members that, might utilize the center every day. And then we also feel that responsibility to the rest of the community and our aging population that are not members to make sure that we can provide them, the resources that they need.
Carol, how is that funded then? Through the state or?
We actually are funded from the county, from Lake County.
Oh.
There is a senior levy in Lake County.
Right.
So at the Madison Senior Center, there is a fee. It's $7 a year to be a member at the center. If you are out of county or you live in a different, township, it is $10 a year. And that's how the county looks at it. Like if you're our neighbor, because your tax dollars don't go towards that levy, so it's a couple dollars more a year.
But still, that's so
Very
inexpensive.
affordable.
That's
Yeah.
extremely
Very
inexpensive,
affordable.
even for people with fixed incomes. I mean, you can manage that.
Yeah, yeah,
And
really.
I have to say, I've been to the senior center, and it's beautiful, and it has a wonderful gym facility also. So not only can they socialize, they can also get physical fitness.
Oh, my goodness, that's great.
And all that takes is just, their physician signing off saying that they're able to exercise. Then we orient them to that exercise room, and there's treadmills, there's recumbent bikes, there's new steps, so many of them, even if they've, had some type of physical ailment where they've needed physical therapy, then are able to, instead of having to join a gym, can come to the senior center and utilize the exercise equipment, so it does help.
So here's a senior in your town who never went to the center, never heard of it, and they're seeing this program, and they're saying, my goodness, there might be something there for me. this is something I might really like to check out. So they decide they're just going to come over. I mean, that's good, that they can just come over?
Absolutely. We're open 8 to 4, Monday through Friday. They can just stop in. We'll give them a tour, we'll give them information on the center. They can, come and check us out for a week, see if it's something they're going to be interested in and, that they'd want to be a member of, and then they can join us.
Well, it's, obviously, it's great if they're members. That's what we really, because then they feel a sense of, okay, well, I became a member. They're more likely to use it then.
Mm-hmm.
They're more likely to use it. We see so many stories in the news and so on about a particular problem, and that is that seniors being isolated.
Mm-hmm.
And not just because they're necessarily that they're homebound, because that's a smaller fraction of people who are actually homebound. But these are people, well, their spouse passed away, their family lives in a different state, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and they're sort of on their own. It seems like this would fill an extremely important
Mm-hmm.
role in their lives. I mean, they come down there, they meet people who are in the same situation that they are,
Mm-hmm.
people who are of their generation that they can
Mm-hmm.
relate to. If they talk about some cultural thing, the other person will know what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's very important to them.
Oh,
Yes.
gosh,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Mhm.
And so they begin to make friends.
When you were talking about isolation of our senior citizens, we had a gentleman stop in, and he was asking about the center, and he lives in out in a very, very rural area in Madison, and asked about the services at the center, and of course, thought he was talking about his mom, and here he's talking about his neighbor. He helps his neighbor, gets the mail for her when need be, because she lives on a slope and she has a walker, and he doesn't want to see her go down the slope to get her mail. He said, but she's 92 years old. She's very, independent, lives by herself, and
Lives by herself,
Mhm.
independent, at 92. God
Mhm.
bless her.
And asked, he said she just needs somebody to talk to every once in a while. So he said, could she come into the center and check it out? And we said, well, by all means. And he said, I still work, I'm not sure how to get her there. Her sons don't live in Madison. So we said, well, let us call her and we'll get her bus service to and from the center. We're fortunate that in Lake County, we do have a county bus service, Lake Train, and we have a grant, and if you live in Lake County, we can get you to and from the senior center on the buses for free. So it's a nice service that we're able to offer. So we called her up, we asked her if she'd like to come and have lunch with us, and yes, she would. Her neighbor had told her about the center, she'd like to check us out. So little Slovenian lady, she came in a couple days later, she had lunch with us. She is now one of our adored members. She has started out 2 days a week, she is now up to 5 days a week. She is now able to have her lunch meal there, so she doesn't have to prepare it. Her sons they just couldn't believe it. So they have taken time off work now to come out and check out the center, because they wanted to know, where is she going every day?
Mm-hmm.
How is she getting there and where is she going? And she's made relationships now with the Lake Trent bus drivers, and they pull in, a special way into her home, and she just really has come out of her shell a little bit,
That's
at the
excellent.
senior center. So it really is a place for those adults that are aging, that do need to tell their story to somebody else.
There was an article, and I think a Plain Dealer yesterday or the day before, about how seniors have these lonely lives, that they're all alone and they don't have anybody to talk to. And the article, basically, the bottom line to it is this winter especially, check on your neighbors and make sure they're okay, and if they need anything, or if you can get a newspaper for them to the door, take care of them that way, because when you're all alone, it's a lonely life that no one really understands until they do it.
That's really true. That's really true. Anyone hearing this, they probably go, oh gosh, I have a neighbor, lives a couple of doors down.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just go over and talk and see how things are going, and then that starts a process.
Yeah.
Where you can, and maybe they can duplicate that incredible success story.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Wow.
And also too, the other piece about coming in for lunch, those that, you know, we have found that, you know, there's many seniors that are very nutrition poor. And that if they have an opportunity to come in for lunch, you know, that meal that is nutritious may be their only big meal of the day, you know. And if they are able to come in for congregate lunch is offered Monday through Friday. And that service it's up to $1.50 a day donation. So if
That's-
somebody can't afford, there's no reason, and it's all done anonymously. So if they can't afford to put anything, you know, in our little change bucket, they don't need to. And they don't need to feel bad about it, nobody else knows about it, and so they're able to have that meal, and, you know, they're comfortable then going home knowing they've had a good meal for the day.
Carol, God forbid, if you didn't have this program, what would these poor people do? I mean,
They would be very isolated in their home and
not be eating.
not be eating what they need to.
Wow, that's scary.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. I mean, obviously,
We all take it for granted.
Yes, we do.
You know,
Mhm. Then their health deteriorates because they're
well,
very
that's it
nutrition
exactly.
poor.
That's it exactly. And that becomes more and more acute as they get older.
Mhm.
Sure.
And they really have to keep, and if they get protein, calorie malnutrition, no organ system's gonna work right. And they're gonna be more susceptible to infections and so on. I mean, it's a spiral.
mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, that's the kind of service, I mean, it's not just a great socialization service. It's not just a great nutritional support service, it's both.
Right.
You know, and it sounds like you go out of your way to make it very accessible
Mhm.
and very comfortable, non-threatening for people, so they can go in and they can feel relaxed and no matter what their situation is. You know, if people have some means, they're gonna help support the program.
Right.
People wanna do that.
Mhm.
But then if people just simply don't,
Right.
they're not ostracized, they're not penalized,
Mhm.
and it's just as open to them as it is to anybody else.
And also too, sometimes it gives us the opportunity to let them know about the food pantries in the area. You know, they may come up there and get their meal every day, but then for that snack or something that they need in the evening, you know, we can give them that, you know, resource to the food pantries. You know, not only is there, you know, a food bank, but there's also at some of the local churches, they do also free meals on the weekends. You know, they have also a, what they call the bread pantry, where they have bread and, you know, not so, some of the most nutritious, like sweets. They get their little sweet treats. But it then is, you know, another resource for them to have something in their refrigerator.
So between the center and the churches and so on, they could be covered for an entire week.
Yes. Mhm.
We have a very successful food pantry here. As a matter of fact, Matt and I are doing, we're doing like a mini telethon, I think, in December for raising, because they go from week to week to survive, and they have to have donations and all that sort of
Mhm.
stuff. So we're gonna be doing something like that in December. We did it last year, and it was highly successful. So the food pantry is very important,
Mhm.
very important.
Wow. So they, yeah, I mean, you can connect them to the food pantries, but there's other things that you connect them to as well from the senior center.
Mhm.
What are some of the more common things that you see that people need that your center can help connect them with?
Currently, right now, there are, we are utilizing the center for insurance purposes. You know, right now it's open enrollment for Medicare and a lot of the Medicare HMOs. So if somebody's out there that needs to maybe change plans because their prescriptions are so high, we do have resources. One is Lake County Council on Aging coming in, and what they offer is being able to plug in their medications into the computer and finding out which HMO is best, you know, for them.
Holy
Oh.
smokes.
So
That's
that,
priceless.
you know, may save them only $4 a month, or it may save them, you know, $104 a month.
That's
So
fantastic.
that's also, you
That-
know, something.
That is, oh, folks,
Yeah.
I hope you heard that. I hope you heard that. That's like a magic wand.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just
Definitely.
unbelievable. So you actually have people in who can help them navigate this.
Yes,
this
they actually
very
do the
complicated-
navigation.
Because, you know, to somebody who, let's say they're not computer literate, let's say they don't know too much about healthcare in general, and they're confronted by this
Mm-hmm.
monolithic wall of Medicare. How do I even start thinking about this?
Mhm.
And you have people who can help navigate them through that?
Mhm.
Oh, gosh.
Yes. they
That's
do
so
the-
important.
Mhm.
I had to go through that, and it was like, and I'm computer illiterate. I mean, I had a terrible time, and there was a lot of phone calls involved and stuff like that, and tried to do it on my own, and I finally had to.
And
get
it's
some-
intimidating.
It is, it really
You know,
is.
the computer's intimidating enough, but the phone calls can even be more
Oh,
intimidating.
Lord, yes.
Well, and the thing about it, you know, I mean, if you have somebody who really knows what they're doing, then you can take a process that might take somebody on their own 5 days every day,
Mhm.
and you can get it done in a, you know, in just an hour or so.
Right.
I mean, it's tremendously efficient in saving people's time and the frustration and the discouragement and so on. And just the fact that people can feel like they're not having to confront something like this all by themselves.
Right.
That's, gosh, I mean, what's being neighbors about? I mean, that's what this is.
And also, too, it's the trustworthy piece. You never know who's calling you at home, you know, to say, I can do this or that for you with your Medicare, or that flyer you get in the mail. Where at least if you're doing it through your senior center or your council on aging, you should, you know, have that comfort that they are legit.
Well,
So,
and
that means so much.
can't emphasize that strongly enough. You know, we see these horrible stories, you know, in the paper and so on about how people are scamming the elderly.
Yeah.
You know, people are taking people who are the most vulnerable, most unsophisticated, and just ripping them off. You know, I think there's a very warm place reserved for such people.
I hope so.
But this is an antidote to that. And even if somebody calls up and offers somebody something that sounds too good to be true, which means it probably is, what the senior can say is, thank you very much, I'm gonna check that out. Bang.
Mhm.
Done with the phone call.
Mhm.
You know, and then they come and talk to the folks down there and.
Mhm.
You know, you touch on something very important, Doc. The thing I've been getting from my police reports and stuff is the latest scam is the IRS is calling in seniors and telling them they owe money and want them to send in money to a certain address or whatever.
And they say it's the IRS.
Yes, and the IRS doesn't call you.
No.
They come and get you or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
But, so that's happening now, so be very careful with that stuff. Protect yourself.
That's
So
terrible.
sad.
Yeah, it is.
Well, I imagine if those people get busted and they're impersonating the IRS,
That's a federal offense.
yeah, they're gonna have a little vacation.
Yeah, for sure. Are there any phone numbers, Carol, that people could call if they have any questions?
There are, actually, I brought both the Ashtabula and the Lake County
Oh,
Council
good.
on Aging.
And she'll repeat those now, but Matthew will make sure that those numbers appear on the screen, probably have already appeared on the screen during this broadcast, so people can see them and write them down. But if you would give them,
Okay.
that would be good.
The resource, if you are in Ashtabula County, is 440-997-5936. And if in Lake County, it's 440-205-8111. And even if it's after hours, both organizations have an answering machine and they will get back to you.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Very good.
Good deal. What a tremendous program this is.
Oh, holy smokes. Now Denise, a patient gets discharged from UH Conneaut who lives down that way,
Mhm.
lives down Madison Way,
Mhm.
and you will hook them up.
Yes, when I go into their home and I do my assessment and determine any needs that are needed, I'll refer them to, Madison Senior Center might be able to help you with finding that medical device, help you with filling out your medical forms, things such as that. Because like you said, medical devices, saving on prescriptions, every dollar counts because people are living on limited incomes, limited resources, so anything that we can do together as a team to help our patients and our community is just wonderful. So yeah, I provide them that resource, and then they contact you, and then they have their working relationship.
And then Denise can go in there and say, well, you know, it's going to be important for you to maintain your flexibility. It's important for you to maintain your strength. And sometimes that's not so easy to do. But if you go down to Madison Senior Center, they've got a special room where they have the equipment that you need, and there'll be people there who can watch you and make sure that it's safe. And then you can follow through and rebuild your strength and so on. So that would be something that you might do as well.
Oh, definitely. It's the whole package between the physical education and assessment, the social interaction, the emotional health. I mean, it's the whole package of the patient, not just the medical condition at hand. It's what can we do now and also continue into the future.
This is tremendous. This is what it's all about, folks.
And just to take it a little bit beyond that medical piece, that socialization piece, all of the senior centers, both in Ashtabula and Lake County, you know, offer, you know, programs within the senior center, you know, whether it's just sitting around playing cards, whether
which is fun,
it's,
and which a lot of people like to do. They'd rather do that than anything else.
You know, some of the gentlemen come in and play pool. Some of the ladies play pool also, but then, you know, beyond that, then there's, you know, like I said, the card clubs. There is a writers group, you know, there's a book club, there's all types of activities, and then there's even day trips. You know, recently we went down to Lehman's Hardware. You know, it may not be going far, but it's, you know, that socialization.
Well, here's
again.
somebody who doesn't ever hardly get out of their house,
Right.
doesn't really have any socialization. Any trip.
Right.
It's a big deal.
Yes.
It is a big deal. And it's fun, you know, it's fun for them to do, so.
Excellent.
Okay, so those kind of grow out of the membership. I mean, you know, people will have an interest, and they'll find somebody else at the center, you know, because word gets around, and who has that interest, all of a sudden there's another club.
Yep.
Okay.
And it's wonderful because they welcome us in for the members when they come for that social interaction, or whether it be for the lunch, different days. My partner Lori Slimmer goes in and does screening events. So while you're there getting that physical activity or social interaction, you can get your glucose checked or your cholesterol checked, or
Blood
have an
pressure.
education conference, or, you know, about the healthy eating. And you don't have to do a second trip. It's convenient. It's right there for you. You don't have to make a special appointment. So we definitely appreciate that you welcome us in like that.
They all enjoy it, that's for sure. It's actually one of our most popular programs. They love the health education lectures and series that are done. And not only at our facility, but, you know, yesterday Lori invited them, there's an Alzheimer's meeting that's going to be done, I believe at the Geneva Community Center, that's coming up in December, that many of them will attend.
Wonderful.
So.
Well, I'll tell you, this is terrific. It's really wonderful for us to learn about this, and we're really happy that our public now has had a chance to hear all this. So again, let me thank you so much for taking the time to come by and help educate our public.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks, Carol. And folks, that's another edition of Your Health Matters. Again, we'll be back next week. And I believe were we gonna continue this series, Doc?
I think there may be one more. I'll let you know about that, but I think there is another one.
Okay, I think it's very helpful. I think it's good.
Oh,
for the
gosh,
communities.
yeah. This is for our public to hear about this kind of stuff. That's
Yeah.
what it's all about.
Yeah. Till next time, have a great week.